On today's show, we'll discuss how Ottawa used a strong third period to push past the Predators in Nashville 5-2.
And we have a game day preview for tonight's game in Tampa Bay against the Lightning, where I'll have boots on the ground.
This is Brady Tkachuk, and you're listening to the Locked On Senators podcast.
You're Locked On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome. You are locked on to the Ottawa Senators, the only daily podcast covering the Sens. On the outskirts of enemy territory, I'm Ross Levitan, alongside Brandon Piller down in the Sunshine State. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. New customers can bet just $5, and if you win, you'll score $200 in bonus bets. Download the app or head to FanDuel.com to get started. Today is Tuesday, February 4th, and Pilsy, the Ottawa Senators win again.
5 straight wins. They keep it rolling, and I'm hoping they keep her rolling and keep her rolling again tonight, Ross, up against the Tampa Bay Lightning. But that was an impressive win up against a Nashville team that I know is a little bit down in the dumps standing-wise, but they still have a lot of talent, and you're in their barn, and you go down 1 goal. Sure, they get the 2-1 lead, but then Nashville ties it with an emphatic power play goal, and the Sens don't let that discourage them. They score 3 unanswered to get the big 5-2 win. So just a massive W for this team.
It was so much fun in the postcast last night with Jack and I. We basically gave a Sens Central standout to everybody on the team, but one player in particular stayed hot. Jake Sanderson, named the NHL's third star of the week yesterday. Ilya Sorokin, number 1. Tage Thompson, number 2. Sandy extended his point streak to 5 games, but I know you want to talk about his skating that allowed him to get into the position to score that goal.
Yeah, Ross, and in those 5 games that he's had a point, how about 9 points by a defenseman? Like, it's just crazy. And then he's been scoring as well, which has come from his skating, but he's on a 3-game goal streak as well. But his skating is just so impressive. I talked about the way he was able to help on that shorthanded goal up against the Minnesota Wild. But then last night on the blue line, Carlson-esque. So many people were saying, is that 85 or 65 we're seeing back there? Walks the line, paints that blue line, and then I don't know how he does it, but he does like a pivot to go to a backward skate. And as he does that, he picks up a quick burst of speed that gets around the Nashville guy that's trying to get in his shooting lane. And that gives him the open lane. And like he mentioned a little while earlier, he's got the green light to rip that pill from the point. And it's resulting in not only points, but goals where he's just beating goalies from a distance. So Jake Sanderson, the rest of the league better take notice. I know you said he's a third star, but this guy is really heating up, and he's finding confidence in his game offensively.
Well, Sanderson, it took him 13 games to get to 9 points from the start of the season, and 3 of those 9 points were in a win over Tampa Bay. Of course, we'll preview that game later on in the show. We'll get into Ryan Hartman's 10-game suspension for his greasy intent to injure on Tim Stützle. We'll get into the Senators' goaltending and how elite it's been since Linus Ullmark's been out, and obviously we expect Ullmark to be in goal tonight. But not only is Jake Sanderson on a 5-game point streak, Tim Stützle is as well. Stützle just had the 1 assist last night. He's got 8 points in his last 5 games. So guys are picking it up. No Josh Norris. What happens? Ridley Gregg picks his game up. He was elite defensively last night and still contributed an empty net goal. What is it with Ridley Gregg and empty net goals? By the way, Ridley Gregg also on a point streak, 4 games for himself. He's got 3 goals and an assist over that span.
I don't know, Russ. I think maybe with Ridley and the empty net goals is the other team is so focused maybe on some of the other top players that are out on the ice at that moment that Ridley's just able to kind of break free and get those opportunities. But I mean, Gustav Nyquist showed all his frustration at the end of that one, just barreling Ridley into the net. I mean, the puck goes in, then Ridley goes in. You're glad it's in that order. And he does kind of a little backflip somersault too, but no worse for wear, just dusts it off and says, thanks for the goal. We'll take the 5-2 win. We don't need to get into any physical altercation after that. We can tell you guys are pissed off, so we'll just leave it at that.
Wait, that doesn't deserve a cross check in the face?
Yeah, see, there's certain ways you can react to that, Ross, and Ridley Gregg is known as a class act guy that never really stirs things up and just is always does the respectful thing, and that's what he does there again.
And he also took that hit like a champ. Like, you think back, the first thing I thought of when I saw that, I know he didn't curl around the net. He came on the same side, but the Mark Scheifele hit on Jake Evans in the playoffs during the COVID year, where Habs fans are still booing him, still upset. They can't believe it. And it's like, well, maybe you just score the goal and move on with your life. Get the win, take the 2 points, and away we go.
Yeah, that's the way to do it.
Love it. Ridley Gregg, talk about 2020 vision for the Ottawa Senators in that draft class. The lead of the show, 3 players from that draft class having fantastic games. But to me, it was how the Senators battled through the adversity of not getting the first goal, despite a clear goal, in my opinion. And the goaltender interference takes it off the board, and they get scored on first. You could think both those are momentum swings against them, but credit to the Ottawa Senators. They battled through. They looked fantastic in the second period in particular, where they had 22 shots on goal, and then they took it home in the third. Just a dominant third period, and the Ottawa Senators have won 5 straight games. We've got more to get to in tonight's game. Quick turnaround as the Ottawa Senators are busy going into the Four Nations face-off, but with that win, the Senators moved to within 2 points of the Toronto Maple Leafs in the Atlantic Division standings. They moved 3 points ahead of the wild card teams. Detroit, Columbus tied at 59 points. They've all played the same amount of games now, but this 5-game win streak has put them in such an advantage situation where you win 2 of the next 3, 2 in Tampa, 1 in Florida, tough games. You can set yourself up for a strong finish to the year.
Well, especially these games up against Tampa are just so huge, Ross. Like, obviously, the Florida game's still a division rival, and you want to have a strong showing against them. But if you take both of these games, I mean, you're putting yourself in a 8-game lead over the Tampa Bay Lightning. Like, that would just be massive if they're able to do that. So, and this Tampa team, like, this is still a good team with a lot of high-class players that aren't used to missing the playoffs. So they don't want to lose these points, and they're at home. It's going to be massive, massive games tonight and on Thursday night.
And I know you meant 8 points up. 8 games would be 16 points, and we're not quite there yet.
Maybe I meant soon. 8 points, yes.
Maybe soon. Habs fans thought that we'd be neck and neck, and now we're almost 8 games up on them, 9 points to be exact. Remember how close it was there for a while? Stressful, but the Ottawa Senators got it done. And a big reason why the Senators were able to get it done is the play of Leevi Merilainen and Anton Forsberg during the absence of Linus Ullmark. Ullmark missed 43 days with this injury. We'll discuss whether we think he's going to be rusty or rested when he gets back in, the decision to start him in Tampa instead of Nashville, and a whole lot more. Before we get to that, though, the out-of-town scoreboard. 14 games tonight, 28 teams in action, including a cheering guide. And we'll tweet this out at Sens Central later this afternoon. But here is who the Ottawa Senators would like to win tonight. The Minnesota Wild are in Boston to take on the Bruins. We want the Wild in that one. We're looking for the Buffalo Sabres to win at home against the Columbus Blue Jackets. We're looking for, I almost said the Devils to beat the Penguins, but the Penguins just don't matter anymore at all. They are completely done. We're looking at the Vegas Golden Knights to beat the New York Islanders. That game starts in Long Island at 7:30. Later on tonight, we got to be
looking at the Islanders again, Ross. So we thought we put the dun chain on them a little early. So let's hope the Vegas Golden Knights slow down their roll.
We're looking for the Calgary Flames to win at home against the Toronto Maple Leafs. All of a sudden, those games are the ones we're going to be watching the most closely, as well as the Seattle Kraken, who are home to the Detroit Red Wings. Detroit's won 6 in a row. So if Ottawa wins tonight, Detroit loses, they'll have the longest win streak in the Eastern Conference. And we're looking for San Jose to pull the upset out over the Montreal Canadiens tonight. After Montreal fell to Anaheim, this would almost bury them in terms of their morale and their will and their fan base being all yappy. So lots of out-of-town scoreboard. Also Utah against the Philadelphia Flyers. Lots of East versus West games tonight, Pillsy. Makes it pretty easy to choose who you're rooting for.
Yeah, it's nice when we don't have to spin zone things too hard, and I don't have to remind you about the proper phrasing of the cheering guide. So we don't have to worry too much about that this time.
Well, we're all the way against the Leafs now, baby. We are all the way against the Toronto Maple Leafs. More on
As
the
we
other
always
side.
have been.
You're listening to Locked On Senators, your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. Super Bowl 59 is here. One game, two teams, the Kansas City Chiefs again, and the Philadelphia Eagles. Endless possibilities, and there's no better way to make every play more exciting than with FanDuel Sportsbook. Whether it's predicting the first touchdown, calling the MVP, or even betting on the coin toss, FanDuel makes it easy to get in on the action. With live betting all game long, you can adjust your bets as the game unfolds and feel the thrill from kickoff to the final whistle. The live betting feature lets you stay involved in the game no matter what happens on the field. And I love the app because it's super easy to use and to navigate. Plus, knowing that you can place a $5 bet and potentially win $200 in bonus bets for the Super Bowl, well, that's the icing on the cake. Download the app or head to fanduel.com to get started. Bet just $5, and if you win, you'll score $200 in bonus bets. That's fanduel.com. Bet with FanDuel, official partner of Super Bowl 59.
All right, Pilsy. So for more on last night's 5-2 win, make sure to download and check out the postcast anywhere you get podcasts, including on YouTube. I love the Amazon Prime broadcast of the game, having all the different camera angles, like the last one on that Jake Sanderson goal, where you can see the shot just seeing eye right where it needed to be. Huge win for the Ottawa Senators. But they wouldn't be in this position, third in the division, if it weren't for the play of Leevi Merilainen and Anton Forsberg. These two have been nothing short of tremendous. So we went and we looked at the stats, and I didn't count the game where Ullmark got hurt. I don't think that's fair to Merilainen coming in cold like that. So since the day after that Edmonton game, basically since the Christmas break, you could also call it, the Ottawa Senators have had the third best goals against average in the National Hockey League and the second best save percentage. I would have been comfortable if they were middle of the pack, 14th to 16th. But what those two have done to keep Ottawa not only in the mix, but leading the pack of the middle teams, you cannot give them enough credit.
Yeah, it's been amazing, Ross. And they've essentially saved this season. Like, I feel like that's kind of fair to say. And it's an interesting tale of two goalies, too, right? Like, you have Anton Forsberg, a guy that struggled at the start of the season. And a lot of Sens fans had kind of written off and were just saying, we don't care what happens to him, just get him out of here and get anyone else in his stead. And he finds a way to stabilize his game and has been playing really great as of lately. And then you got the Finnish firewall, an unnamed prospect or an unknown prospect in the 2020 draft that, Ross, we dug up our old tweets. We tweeted this is going to be a project goalie, and he's a long way from playing in the NHL, and it hasn't been that long, and he's been dominant when he's been playing. So for these two guys to figure out ways to get it done and to hold down the fort while Vezina winning goalie Linus Ullmark has been out, has been absolutely amazing.
And it's a credit to the team, too, playing strong defensively. But these two in particular, I mean, you just got to show some love. Leevi Merilainen, 7-2-1 since Ullmark's injury with a .938 save percentage and 3 shutouts, a 1.7 goals against average. He's been phenomenal. And for Anton Forsberg, it's a 4-3-1 record. His goals against average is 2.67 with a .902 save percentage. But Pilsy, it didn't start well for him during that streak. Recently, a lot better. He's won his last 3 starts with a .923 save percentage over those 3 games. So he's really calmed himself down in the crease. He's not allowing that bad goal every game that kind of puts you behind the 8 ball. He's been stopping the stoppables, and he's made some nice saves to boot. But with Merilainen, Like, these are Hamburglar numbers. I had to look it up to double check. Leevi Merilainen's goals against average, 1.7, is actually better than Andrew Hammond's during the Hamburglar run. He was 1.79. Now, albeit in double the games, Merilainen played 10, Hamburglar was 24, but Andrew Hammond's save percentage was 941. That's how good Hammond was. Like, that is an outstanding save percentage. So just a tick over Merilainen, both of them with 3 shutouts. Merilainen in 10 games, and again, Hammond with a little bit more. But this is an elite job from the two of them. That said, Pilsy, what are you thinking about Linus Ullmark tonight? What are your expectations? What's your hope? And should we be surprised if it takes him a little while to get back into the rhythm?
I don't think we should be expecting him to need some time to get back into the rhythm, Ross, because I think the Ottawa Senators have been correctly very cautious with him. And it seems like he's been practicing and getting ready for a long time. Maybe that's just the way it seems, because we've been anticipating this. And I can't believe how perfect it worked out that, assumingly that he's going to get the start tonight, that this will be his first game back, and I'm going to be boots on the ground on the road in Tampa for it with my road Ullmark jersey, Ross. So,
and you were at the last game that he finished, right? Because he finished the game in Calgary.
Yeah.
Merilainen played in Vancouver, and then he got injured in the first period against Edmonton.
Yeah, so I mean, it's poetic as the number one Ullmark fan that this is the way it's working out for me, getting to watch him on the road when I have his road jersey. But I expect him to have a good game, Ross. Like, maybe not like shut the door game, because I'll give anybody a game or two leash when you're coming back from an injury and you haven't played in a while. So that's fine. But I'm not expecting him to look like he's kind of completely lost out there, or that he doesn't have his mid-season form or anything like that. So, and plus, we talked about it, this game up against the Tampa Bay Lightning is going to be so huge tonight that he knows the stakes and what's at hand here. So I'm expecting him to have a good game.
Oh, I can't wait to see him in the lineup. We're hoping that Ridley Gregg's all good. This Ottawa Senators obviously not skating this morning, second half of back-to-back, but Ridley Gregg went so hard into the post there that you hope that he's good. He missed yesterday's morning skate because he wasn't feeling 100%, but looked great out there. So we'll see if he is in that second line position tonight. The Ottawa Senators don't have any extra forwards with them. They, if Nick Jensen can play, which he's on the trip, so probably not though. I would hope that they just keep it rolling. Although they did, looking at the lines on Money Puck in last night's game, the Ottawa Senators mixed things up. And one adjustment that I really liked is that last night they moved onto a line with Matthew Highmore onto the line with Pinto and Amadio, and I thought they gave them a few really good shifts down the stretch in that game. Sorry, Batherson was at right wing is the one I'm talking about there. They only played 3.5 minutes together, but the shot attempts were 3-0 on the ice for Ottawa, and I thought they played really well together. Expected goals of 100% is that good. That said, I also really want to see more of David Perron tonight, because what a struggle it's been for David Perron to be able to get to a place where he is putting the puck in the net, a goal and an assist in last night's game. Like, how badly did he need that? I don't think you can really put it into words. He had 1 point in 14 games, so he got 2 then last night. So hopefully this is like the pre-deadline pickup for the Ottawa Senators, is just getting Perron into the rhythm of producing offense.
Yeah, it very well could be, Ross. And sometimes the hockey gods just reward you. I don't think if you would have asked David Perron, can you draw up the play of what your first goal as an Ottawa Senator is going to look like? I don't think he would have said, well, it's going to be a cross-ice pass to Timmy. It's going to go off a Nashville Predators skate, then helmet, and then in. Probably not his plan there, but it works out for him, and he gets that first goal as an Ottawa Senator. And I think that's going to be a big boost for his confidence. And we kind of expected that it was going to take a veteran that had been out of the lineup for various reasons, and then coming back from a back injury, that it was going to take him some while to get going. So I think he's at that checkpoint where it's like, okay, he's had his time. He should be back in the zone now, and we can expect good things from David Perron moving forward.
All right, we can expect to not see Ryan Hartman moving forward after his play against Tim Stützle. We'll break that down after the break, and then a full game day preview. Ottawa Senators in Tampa, Florida tonight for the first of 2 games against the Lightning. You're listening to Locked On Senators, your team every day. All right, Pillsy, game day for the Ottawa Senators. It is a 7 o'clock puck drop tonight, and we will have the postcast for you after the game. It'll be Jack and I with boots on the ground reports from both you and Lalim's Martian. Sounds like a ton of fun. But before we get to the game day preview, Pillsy, during the Senators game last night against the Nashville Predators, the league announced a 10-game suspension for Ryan Hartman. It was a dirty play right off a face-off, gives him the old forearm shiver, takes him down. We posted a clip of our postcast about that, so if you missed it, go check that out. But Pillsy, 10 games. Were you surprised when you saw that number come out?
No, that's what I thought was going to happen, Ross, just because like in the in-person hearing, what's Ryan Hartman going to say there? Like there's just no excuse for that. If there was no kind of way you could lawyer yourself into saying, that was a hockey play or you slipped or something like that. Like just no excuse. And then the fact that he has so many other suspensions, so many other fines, like he's just a repeat offender. This is the way this guy plays the game. And there's no place for it in the league, especially when the NHL, like many other sports leagues around North America, they know that having your stars is a big part of drawing fan attendance and gaining revenue. So when you get a pigeon like Hartman doing that to a superstar like Tim Stützle, they can't have that. And there's no excuse for that. So 10 games, I think that's what I was expecting here. And I think is the right call by the league.
Chris Johnston tweeting out a quote from the NHL player safety video explanation. Quote, "It is important to note that this is not a hockey play. Hartman contends that he is attempting to use his hand to regain balance using Stützle for support and that their fall to the ice is accidental. We disagree," end quote.
I mean, I was trying to use my hand to balance myself, and I figured the best way to do that was to put it on Tim Stützle's head.
And then fall on top of him onto the ice. You know that Ryan Hartman's been suspended an average of once every 60 games that he plays?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, where does it end for this guy?
Well, it ends with him forfeiting almost $500,000 in salary for this play.
As it should.
That's an expensive being a jerk punishment. So Good riddance to Ryan Hartman. And we move on to Tampa Bay. Game day preview tonight, Pillsy. The Ottawa Senators, again, did not skate today. No surprise there. We expect the lines to be the same as the last night. This is how the Senators started last night's game. Tim Stützle at center between Brady Tkachuk and Claude Giroux. Ridley Gregg centering David Perron and Drake Batherson. Shane Pinto between Cole Reinhardt and Michael Amadio. And Zach Ostapchuk between Matthew Highmore and Adam Gaudette. Jake Sanderson with Artem Zub. Thomas Chabot with Travis Hamonic. Tyler Clevin with Nicholas Matinpalo. And we expect Linus Ullmark to return for his first start since December 22nd. Pillsy, you called Adam Gaudette's goal yesterday, so give me a locked-on player to watch.
Yeah, and Ross, you gave me a look of surprise when after all the top guys were getting their goals that I decided to go with Adam Gaudette, but it ended up working out for me, and that's nice hand-eye coordination from Gaudette. I know it's a bit of a greasy goal, but you got to be talented to make that play, so shout out Adam Gaudette. He had an assist as well. But tonight, I'm going with the top guy. I'm going with number 85, Jake Sanderson. I mean, the way this guy's playing, there's no reason why he can't keep it rolling here. We already kind of waxed poetic about Sanderson, so I won't say too much on it here, but let's get that point streak extended to 6 games here. And I'm excited to see him in person and watch him fly on the Tampa Bay Lightning home ice here.
I love it. I think that's a great locked-on player to watch. I'm going to go with another player who isn't getting enough love recently, and that's the man photographed, if I could speak English, right there. Claude Giroux, also on a 5-game point streak. 1 goal, 5 assists in his last 6 games. He's providing offense. He's averaging 18.53 over this span. His ice time had dipped throughout the middle of the season, but now he is all the way back to to being a top 6 contributor, a guy who you can count on in the face-off circle. He was 7 for 13 last night. Against Minnesota, we didn't even mention this in the postcast or on yesterday's show. Giroux went 11 for 12 against Minnesota in the dot.
Ooh, attaboy G.
So I'm looking for Claude Giroux to have a big night tonight. Maybe a couple power play points for Claude Giroux. I think that would be huge. In the first meeting against Tampa Bay, he had 2 assists, but again, that was a matinee, and we know that Giroux is thriving on matinees this year. In his career against Tampa, more than a point per game, 52 points in 49 career games head-to-head against the Lightning. So I will be locked on to Claude Giroux tonight.
Ross, I can't believe you didn't go with number 3, Nicholas Matinpalo.
Number 33. Come on, double threes.
Didn't I say 33?
I think you said number 3.
Oh, number 33, Nicholas Matinpalo. You're vying for him to stay in the lineup here. You like his game, eh?
Yeah, I'm just trying to enjoy the game, dude. That's all I'm trying to do here. Just enjoy the game.
Yeah, I mean, Nicholas Matinpalo, he puts butts in seats. We love it.
That's what he does. He's got 8 shots in the last he's got 8 shots on goal in the last 2 games. So let's see if we can reach out to a man who I think was enjoying last night's game. Let's see if we can have a little moment here on Locked On Senators here. All right, let's see if we get an answer.
What are you doing?
Bruce, you're live on Locked On Senators. I just wanted to ask if you were enjoying the game last night.
I did enjoy the game last night, and thank you for calling and asking.
So Brandon's going to the game tonight, and we always talk to you about your favorite road places to go. Where did Tampa rank on that list?
It's right up there. Perfect spot. Nice to walk from the water side over to the hotel and over to the rink. 5-minute walk. It's beautiful.
So Pilsy, we know that he's got sensitive skin. What SPF should Pilsy be wearing tonight?
60.
Maybe 100 on the face, though.
Pilsy, are you sensitive?
No, not true. I've never used anything 60. Above 30 SPF.
You gotta go 60.
Pilsy says he's never used anything above 30. Bruce, appreciate the hell out of you. That
Wait,
was so
I got
fun
one for Bruce.
Night. Oh, Pilsy's got a question for you.
Can you ask him what he liked most about Nicholas Matinpalo's game?
Nothing but time, fellas.
Pilsy asked, what did you like most about Nicholas Matinpalo's game last night?
You know what? I just enjoyed his game.
You're the best, Bruce. All right, we'll get you on the show. We'll get you on for
Unlike you, Mr. Negative, I don't think he's on borrowed time or anything, okay?
Okay. 4 Nations?
I think you're going to see maybe a platoon situation where maybe look, Finland looked at Matinpalo he's been a great surprise. Finland looked at him as a replacement for their I'm going to say his name, Hakanpää.
Hakanpää, yeah, and Heiskanen's out too.
Yeah, and I think he had a realistic shot of playing for Finland. He's been that good.
He's been awesome.
I am a little bit like you, Ross. I don't want to see him come out. I don't. I respect what Travis Hamonic does, though, and I'll leave it at that because I know that Travis Hamonic is the new. Everybody likes to jump on him, but anyway.
Yeah, well said, Bruce. Hey, we'll get you on for a proper visit soon. Appreciate you picking up. This was a blast.
Yeah, 30, eh?
30. Yeah, Pilsy's got the bucket hat on and everything already. All right, Bruce, we'll talk soon.
Tell Pilsy to stay out of hat tricks, okay? I don't want to see any photos from hat tricks.
He's nodding and shaking his head at the same time.
Maybe he could go there for 1 and see if he can have 2 or 3.
Went for 1 and stayed till 2. That's hat tricks.
Well, but here's my thing on this. Okay, if I go for 1, all right, I only try to have 1 at a time.
I love it.
I went for 1. But I only had 1 at a time.
That's the perfect place to leave. We'll see you on March 1st, Brucey. We're coming to town.
Oh, good. Look forward to it. Enjoy Tampa. See you later.
All right, there's Bruce Garrioch, Ottawa Sun, TSN. What a beauty. If you missed the whole context from that, last night
That's
I
great.
tweeted out that I would be very upset if Nicholas Matinpalo was taken out of the lineup, and he told me to enjoy the game. So at the end, he said, Ottawa fortunate to not get a penalty on the shorthanded breakaway in the third period. So I told Bruce, just enjoy the game. Pillsy, what are you thinking?
Good job, Bruce, giving us a good answer there. That guy is always, as always, entertaining.
Entertaining at the very least, the beauty at his best.
I want to talk I can't believe you think I'm a sensitive skin guy. I always have a good tan going. 60 SPF, come on.
Yeah, that's fair. I just want to give you a hard time.
Yeah,
These guys are these home players. They get to live in Tampa year round, and tonight they might be hearing footsteps from the Ottawa Senators coming to town, staying, unpacking their bags. They're there tonight. They're there on Thursday, and here's how we expect the Lightning to line up. Braden Point at center with Jake Gensel and Nikita Kucherov. Anthony Cirelli is with Brandon Hagel and Connor Geekie. The third line, Nick Paul, between Zemgus Girgensons and Gage Gonzalez. The fourth line is Luke Glendening with Mitchell Chaffee and Michael Asimont. We've got Victor Hedman on the back end with Taylor Radish. Not Taylor. Is it Taylor Radish? No, that's the one in Washington. Darren Radish on the back end. Ryan McDonough with Eric Chernak and Eric Lilleberg with Nick Perbix. Andrei Vasilevsky's in goal. Already confirmed. Matt Tompkins is the backup. All right, Pillsy, a lookout player to watch.
I'm going to be looking out for number 21, Braden Point. This guy continues to hum along, Ross. I think he gets overshadowed by some of the other top players in Tampa, but he is a consistent point getter. He had 90 points last year with 46 goals and 95 points the year before with 51 goals. This year, in 46 games, he's got 28 goals, 25 assists, good for 53 points. He is third on the team behind only Kucherov and Hagel, and he's got 12 power play goals. Look for him on the man advantage, 6 game-winning goals, and he's 50% in the faceoff dot. And right now, when he shoots, he's been scoring. He's shooting at a 24.1% clip. So we got to be watching out for number 21 here.
I feel like he's one of the most underappreciated 50-goal scorers in the National Hockey League. I'm going to go with his right-hand man. We're going with the top dogs. To beat the Lightning, you have to shut down their top players. I don't feel like they have elite depth per se. I love Nick Paul, but other than that bottom six is uninspiring to me. I think you just need to focus on the top guys. So Nikita Kucherov will be my lookout player to watch. Third in the league when it comes to assists, behind only Nathan McKinnon and Mitch Marner. And he's done it in 3 less games than Marner and 5 less games than Nathan McKinnon. 52 assists in 49 games. This guy had 100 assists a couple of years ago, and he dummies the Ottawa Senators. But every team can say that he dummies them. Like, he is so consistent about every team. Against Ottawa, he has 36 assists in 36 games, add in 14 goals. That's 50 points against the Ottawa Senators. And the LOSP stats department has confirmed that Nikita Kucherov has more points against Ottawa than any other team in the league.
How many times do we say this when we're doing lookout players, Ross? This guy dominates Ottawa. He has more points against the Ottawa Senators than any other team in the league.
Yeah, he has 49 against Detroit. He's got 46 against Toronto, but 50 against the Ottawa Senators. Pillsy, give me a key to victory tonight for the Ottawa Senators in Tampa.
Well, it's based off both of our locked on players, Ross, and you kind of mentioned it there, so I'll just piggyback on it, is shut down that top line. Who's the other winger on the top line there? Remind me.
The top line is Jake Gensel. Ever heard of him?
Yes. Yeah, Jake Gensel. Yeah, thank you. I mean, these guys are Nikita Kucherov 1 in points, and then Braden Point 3rd, and then Gensel 4th in points. All 3 of these players are above a point per game pace. So if you can shut down that top line, like you mentioned, Ross, not a whole lot of depth otherwise. You got to look out for Brandon Hagel. He's a sharpshooter. And then Nick Paul, I've heard rumors that he does it all, so watch out for him as well. So shut down that top line and then try to make your hay in the bottom 6. Like I mentioned, the bottom 6, hopefully for the Sens, gets going. I want to see Shane Pinto keep popping. I want to see Adam Gaudette keep popping. So those are opportunities where you can hopefully find some weak spots in Tampa and make the most of it.
The Ottawa Senators do have an advantage where the power play, which is usually lethal for the Lightning, they went 3 for 3 in a game about a week and a half ago against Chicago, where they came back, they tied it on the power play late and then won it on the power play in overtime. Since then, they're 0 for 10 on the power play. So let's hope that streak continues, because they're either amazing or awful on the power play. They're 3 for 3 game against Chicago. They're 0 for 4 the game before that. 1 for 2, 2 for 3, 2 for 5 in the 3 games before that. So if you get an early kill against them, make sure that you kill it off, because if they get one, they smell blood, and it could be a tough night at the office. Other than that, the good news is Ottawa's penalty kill has been outstanding from the standpoint of even producing offense. The Sens ended they ended a 3-game shorthanded goal streak last night, and they even had a couple opportunities. Pinto at the end of the first period almost had one, but could not convert there. I'm excited for tonight's game. Like, we've been circling these games on the calendar for months. 2 games in the same city. Well, when's the last time the Senators played 2 games in a row in Tampa? You have to go back to the 2006 playoffs, where the Ottawa Senators took game 3 by a score of 8-4, and then took game 4 by a score of 5-2. So things have changed. Like, referees wear helmets now. Kerry Fraser was not wearing a helmet while he was reffing those games. Zdeno Chara was there. Danny Heatley got in a fight. Zdeno Chara, everyone remembers, I posted on Twitter at Sens Central, where he pinned down Vinny LeCavalier, pulls up the arm. Anyway, I'm good. And then just stands up and like looks down on him, like disgusted.
Well, he didn't want to get an assault charge there, Ross. If you would have thrown that punch, that would have been, oh man. Whew.
That would have been game over, lights out, good night, LeCavalier. So, hey, this is going to be cool. The last time the Senators played a real mini series was those games against Detroit, 2 in a row in Ottawa, and the Senators were amazing in those games. What was it, 6-2, 6-1? It was like a tennis score after that series. So 2 games against the same team in the same location. Cannot wait for tonight's matchup. Pilsy, any final thoughts on today's show?
Final thoughts for me is I'm going to be tweeting out kind of what my plan is. I want to meet up with as many Sens fans as possible. I've had a bunch of people reach out to me on Twitter. Sounds like there's going to be a good presence of Sens fans at the game. So my plan is to get to the game early and find the spot in the arena to meet up for warm-ups, and we can have a good Sens meetup, get some Go Sens Go chants going, and get ready for the game.
Yo, you should even check out upstairs at that arena. There's a patio, like an outdoor patio bar.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah, you guys will have a great time tonight. I'll be there in spirit, but I will also be manning the postcast tonight after this game. So make sure you join us right after this one, and we'll chat with Pilsy after the Senators take on the Tampa Bay Lightning at 7 o'clock Eastern. In the meantime, check us out on social media at Sens Central on Twitter, LockedOn.Senators on Instagram. We appreciate each and every one of you for liking, watching, engaging with the show. Leave a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast. It goes a long way to making this the #1 daily podcast for any National Hockey League team. Any. You want it? Who wants it? We do. So please continue to support the show. Really, really does mean a lot to us. For today, we say goodbye. For Brandon Piller, I'm Ross Levitan. This has been another edition of the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day.